Okay. Hey, everybody. It is week 7, July. This is Wednesday, and we made a lot of great progress yesterday. We'll recap some of what we worked on, and then we're going to continue to polish our game by cleaning up some things and also adding a few new things. And I did want to remind everybody that we are reserving next Wednesday and Thursdays, the last 2 sessions, to do demos of our games or levels. So if you are not comfortable with that, please shoot me a note ahead of that. You can also pre-record a screencast if you'd like of your game. And it also, if you don't want to do a soccer game, if you have something another level or another project you've been working on based on what you've learned in this course, you are absolutely more than welcome to do that. We just want to showcase some of the things that we have learned during the course of this course. Okay, so yesterday we did a few more things. We added some animation. Let me make sure that's okay. We added some animation, had some people in here doing sit-ups, lots of fun things. And today we're going to continue to make some of those. Oh, we also did a main menu. That was a big one. So today we're going to continue to add that polish, which we said in the game design and development business. That's where you take a working prototype and you just kind of clean it up, make it a little more visually interesting, and add some of the little things that just really make uh, take a decent gaming experience and making it a good or a great one. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that blueprint we created for our main menu. And that was called WBP main menu. And I'm going to just leave that right here. We mentioned that we wanted to play a sound when we clicked on a button, and at the very end of class, we just used the whistle as a sort of proof of concept. And let me let Carol in. But I want to actually use a different sound effect. So I'm going to go here and select my audio folder, right click, import to current folder. And on my desktop, I have a click sound. So I'll click that, save everything up. And now I'm going to go back to that blueprint. And instead of showing the whistle, I'm going to use the click. And I'll do that for both the exit and the begin play. And I'm going to change each of these to 1 second as well. All right, compile and save. So let's test that out. That should be an easy win for us. I actually go here to my main menu level, which is just a level that holds my main menu. And let's see, I'll press start. Got Soccer Blast, play game, quit. I'll test quit first. Okay, that's working. And we'll test the play game. And that's working. All right, very cool. Now, another thing I wanted to share with you is when we might want to replace an asset everywhere in our game. And for instance, you might have let's see if we can find a texture file. Go here, do the filter for texture. Okay. So here is a space forest. Let's say we wanted to change this and make it daytime. And we have this at various places in our game. There is a way to do a sort of find then replace, if you will, and that is by using replace references. So I think it'll be easier if I just show you an example of how this might work. So I'm going to create a new folder called fonts. Oh, not folder, fonts, okay? And in here, I'm going to import a new font. And again, it's on my desktop, just one I downloaded. Okay, just click yes. Okay, so here, I want to replace this font. Maybe I think it's a little too hard to read. And instead of having to go here and select the font and then go here and select the font, and then if I had it at several other places in my game, I could just say, I'm going to find that font by searching in my content drawer. And I'm just going to delete. I'm going to delete this font. And then here it says, okay, some of the assets being deleted are still referenced in memory. What do you want to do? So you never want to delete something that's being referenced in memory. That means it's in the game somewhere, unless you're going to replace it with something specifically. So I'm going to replace that with this Acme Secret Agent. Replace references. Are you sure? Save all that. And then if we go over here now to our main menu and press play, we could see now we have this new font here, this kind of comic book font kind of thing. So that's an easy way that you can replace. Give me just a second here. There's Trinity. Okay. That's an easy way that you can replace assets throughout your project in sort of a find and replace. You just want to be really careful with it. Okay. So we're going to do a couple other things. We're going to add our own custom visual effect. So I'm going to go back to my soccer menu. And as we test during today's session, I'm going to make these guys a little less smart because I found that it's really hard because they really get in my way all the time. So I've opened up my AI character. I'm going to first of all go to the character movement and make them a little slower. So with the character movement component selected, that's this right here, I'm going to type walk speed, and I'm going to change this to 350. And then the pawn sensing, right, which is how far they can see and what their visual angles are, select that and then go to AI. I'm going to say this is going to be 60, so they're going to have a 60-degree angle they can see. And then the sight radius, I'm just going to change that to 1,000. All right, so just getting that out of the way before we work on our visual effect. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple more soccer balls in the level. I'll just do that. Just use our old duplicate trick, which is as long as you're in the move mode, you hold down Alt and you can just drag a couple copies. And let me get here. Grab this one. We'll just Alt, move it up here, and move that over here. And I know that my player start is on this side of the field because we wanted to test things without having to run into our AIs. So while I'm here, I'll go ahead and do that. Put that back. Just type start, click on it. If you don't see the icon, it's probably because the widgets and icons are not being showed, which you can toggle on and off with the G key on your keyboard. So I will take that and just move this right up here. And let me just test everything out. Oh, one more thing we forgot to do is I turned this around last session. So let me have the character facing that way. There we go. Let's just make sure everything's working. Okay, score a goal. So everything looks good. All right, So now what I want to do is I'm going to create a visual effect that plays when we score a goal. And that is called well, Unreal Engine uses something called the Niagara visual effects system. It used to be called Cascade, now it's called Niagara. So let's go to first of all, let's go to our goal blueprint. Open that up. And let's just take a look at this logic. Okay, so when the soccer ball overlaps with our box right here, with our collision box area, then what we do is we add 1 to the score, we play the whistle sound, we play the crowd sound, and then that's the end of that. So let's also come out here and search for spawn. Spawn means to instantiate something in the game, just to put it in the game. Let's spawn a system. That's what we refer to in Unreal Engine as a visual effects, as a visual effect system. So at location, all right, and the location is going to be, we'll just grab that box there. Let's drag that into our graph here. And from here, we're going to say get the world location. And that basically means get the XYZ location of this in the game world. And then we're going to spawn our visual effect right where that box is. So we just hook this up, do that, compile, save. So now, obviously, we need an asset. We need a visual effect. So let's go down to your main content folder, and I'm going to create another folder. Call this VFX. Okay, and then I'm going to double click into that. I'm going to right click. Remember how we right click to create a new blueprint or a new material? Well, you'll notice right here at the top is Niagara System. Okay, so let's click on that. And you get this nifty window of all of these templates for visual effects. You can also create your own from scratch, but it's really cool that they give you a bunch that you can use either right out of the box or as a starter for something that's a little more custom. So I'm just going to use this. Where's the confetti? The confetti burst. So this tells you it basically creates a little confetti explosion. So I'm going to select that and then click create. And I'll just call this VFX confetti. And then, oh, got ahead of myself. If you double click on it, okay, over here is a preview of the effect. And over here are some nodes that you can select that will then give you some additional things that you could tweak. So I know right off the bat, this is the lamest confetti I've ever seen because it's so tiny. So let's go and select our confetti burst. And I'm going to search for size. Okay. And let's see. Let's see what our size is here. A lot of different size options. Which one is it that I need? Okay, spawn count, spawn time. This is how you can set how long it lasts, how quickly, oh, didn't mean to click off of there. How quickly it disappears. The one I want, I believe right here is sprite size. I'm going to change this to 20. And then that immediately changes the preview over there. And I'll change the size of when it's kind of fading away to 10. All right, that's a lot better. Go ahead and save that. And over here on this main node right here, I only want this to fire off once, right? I only want it to fire off the first time the ball goes in the goal or anytime I score. I don't want it to keep playing and playing as I continue to play the game. So I'm just going to change this loop behavior to once. Okay, we'll go ahead and save that up. And we are all done with this. I do encourage you to experiment with this. This is a fun little toy to play with. Even if it looks intimidating, you get immediate visual feedback when you change some of these. Like we change, the mass. You'll see different gravity settings, all kinds of fun stuff. You can even change this. These are little textures, believe it or not. You can even change those to be any kind of texture you want. So if you had like a texture of a newspaper, you could use that. All right, so back in our goal, we should now be able to select this confetti. We'll compile and save. We'll press play. And then when we score, we should see the confetti. Okay, go over here. And there we go. And you'll notice it disappeared, right? It only played once. That's good. That's what we wanted. Now, if we go and score another goal, let's make sure we get that same effect. Yeah, nice. Okay. All right, so that is one way we can kind of spice up when you score a goal, make it a little nicer for the player. Let's see. Let's go back to our UI blueprint. That was another thing on our list of, hey, let's polish this stuff up a little bit. So this uses the default Roboto font because we never did change it. And let's say we want to use that new font that we have brought in. So I'll do that. Change that. And let's compile and save. And actually, I'm not really digging this color. So I want to do maybe kind of maybe a light blue-ish. There we go. Okay, so we'll compile and save. Let's test, make sure our colors changed. Okay, they did. I got a 58, or the fonts change, and they did change. You can see the 0 at the bottom. All right, so like we said before, though, if somebody was playing this the first time, they probably could figure out eventually that, okay, the top is a clock and the bottom is, I don't know, our score. But let's make that a little more explicit for our users. So let's go, and what we want to do, we can close this down for now. We're going to go back to our blueprint, widget blueprint, and we're going to click on the graph. And let's do let's work on the clock first, okay? So we already set this up earlier. This basically says how many seconds are left, and then that's going to be the value that goes into here. But what we want to do is append that value with some static text, and we'll use something like time remaining. So the first thing we want to do is we are going to right click and we're going to do literal text, make literal text. And what this means is essentially you're creating static text that does not change. Right here is going to be the text that we're going to use. And I'm just going to say time remaining colon, and then I'm going to add a space just so it won't be bunched up with that value. Now this all has to plug into here somehow. So we got to figure out a way to connect this, which is the actual time remaining, and it is a variable. It's the number that counts down with our static text. And the way that we can do that is with a function called append. So I'll right click. I'm going to type append. Oop, looks like it glitched out there for a second. Append. And I want the string append, right? Because we're talking about characters. Usually that means string. And I'm going to disconnect this. This is the number, right? So if there's 40 seconds left, this is where that is. And instead, I'm going to plug that into this. Okay. And then as you might have guessed, I'm going to take this one and plug it into that one. And now this combined value is what's going to go into our return node. All right, so let's check that out. Go play our game. And there we see time remaining. So that's a nice little, what we call quality of life improvement, where you're taking something that's functional, but you're making it a little bit, improving the user experience a little bit better. So rather than go through the same thing with the other one, which is the goals scored, or no, that was it. Where is it? Let me go ahead and compile, save up everything. So I'm not going to go through that with doing it for the score, but if you want to challenge yourself, open up see if you can figure out how to do that for the score based on how we just did it for the clock. And again, it's the append function and the make literal text. Those are the big ones that you're going to add there. All right. So let's do.
What if you want a different font for the time remaining text and the actual clock?
Okay. Let's see, that's a good question. So let's take a look at the designer. So since this is a computed value, right? It's going to be the same font. Now, there's obviously we could go down here and just pick a different font for this one. But if you wanted the time remaining and then the actual time remaining to be different or to use a different font, probably what you would do is you would just use this block just for the seconds and then maybe create a new block over here and type in the text, and then you could change the font here. But because this is all getting done programmatically, this is going to inherit this font right here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Do we have time for the respawn? I think so. Okay. So right now, currently, when we score, we just continue we can just be right by the goal and just go here and kick all these balls in. Let's make it a little more of a challenge by respawning the player at the midfield point when they score a goal. So we're going to open up our handy BP goal. Okay. And after we spawn that effect, let's do another delay of maybe 2 seconds. That should give the player enough time to revel in their confetti animation. And because we don't have a lot of time left, I am going to go through this quickly, but I do suggest maybe going back and watching this part of the video. So from here, we want to get our player start. So I'm going to do get actor of class. And this is going to drop down. It gives all these things here, all of our blueprints. Now, if you remember, the player start is an actual object in our level. It's right here. In fact, we moved it just a little while ago. And it's also can be placed here by going to basic and then player start. So we want to get a reference to that. So we're going to type start. And we're going to use this one here, player start. And then we want to get the oh, apologies. We need to get all actors of class, get all actors of class. And then we're going to do player start. And then we're just going to get the very first one. So we'll just type get. And remember, in Unreal Engine, like in a lot of programming, the first of something is actually 0. Okay. And then we're going to do a set actor location. So what we're doing here is we're getting our player start, and then we want to set the location of our player. So we need to tell it what actor. So we'll drag out here and we'll type get player pawn. Okay, looks like Zoom wanted to toss that message up there on me. Get player pawn. And then the player start, we've got the player start, we're referencing it, but what exactly is it we need from the player start? Well, we need to know its location. So from right here, we're going to say get actor location. Oh, didn't type in there. Try it again. Get actor location. And then we're going to just hook that right up to here. And what we should see is that when we score a goal, we'll get teleported back to midfield. Let's test that out real quick. There we go. Okay. So I'll try it again. Kick the ball in there. There we go. Okay. So we'll wrap up with another note about polish. So that is a nice we added some nice functionality, right? Where the player gets sent back here to the center of the field when they score. But again, it's not polished, right? It's just you score, you wait 2 seconds, and then blip, you're okay. Wait, I just teleported to the middle of the field. So tomorrow we'll continue with our theme of polish, and we'll add a little camera fade so that after you score and we get that confetti, the camera will fade to black and then come back and we'll be at midfield. So again, that makes it a little less abrupt and a little more natural feeling. All right, I will end the recording here and then we'll see if we have any questions. Let's see. Mm. Well, I don't see the meeting controls. Well, I'll just stop here. Any questions? Anybody have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, thanks, gang. And I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.